Polyev won't do any changes. Like, all these programs, dental care, daycare, that's provincial jurisdictions. Polyev will keep that, like the Liberals. Polyev is telling us that he will lower our taxes, but where will he take the money? We don't know. It will be borrowed money. So if you're serious to save this party, vote for the People's Party. Your vote is your vote. And, I want you to vote in line with your values.
What do you say to people in your riding who maybe do like the PPC values more, but they're so concerned about the vote splitting, they think it's a wasted vote?
Well, I think that's a really important question because we get asked it all the time. And what Maxime said tonight is what I feel. It's my vote belongs to me. Everybody's vote belongs to them. So, yeah, it might, in the grand scheme of things, help certain parties or whatever if we change our allegiance to somebody else other than ourselves. But I can't play games like that. I have too much respect for individual Canadians. I hope that they vote according to their conscience.
We have some policies in place that will help our citizens in our constituency to get their lives back in order. We need our parents to be able to parent, our children to be children, and we need to stop the disrespect being shown to the citizens in our riding and in our country, period.
The main difference between the PPC and other parties is that we want to negotiate an end to this so-called tariff war. We've already been through softwood lumber disputes in the past. There's no reason to have a war. And by ending this and ending the cartel, the supply management, will free our farmers to be able to actually sell all their goods.
Drea Humphrey here with Rebel News in Langley, BC, standing outside of the beautiful Glass House Estate Winery. Inside, there is a People's Party of Canada event for the Fraser Valley candidates, and their leader, Maxime Bernier, is there as well. I'm going to interview him and ask him some of the questions I know you'd like to hear me ask. All right, Mr. Bernier, good to see you again. Thanks for making some time during your event for Rebel News.
Nice seeing you. Thank you very much. I'm very pleased to be with you today.
Now you're out here in Langley, BC on the campaign trail, and many are calling this an election of our lifetime here in Canada. Let's talk about how your platform differs from some of the key areas with the Conservatives and the Liberals. We're seeing almost a lot of overlap in what they're saying. So what are two ways you think your party differs that matters to Canadians?
So do we have a lot of time?
I tried to say two.
Yeah, the most important issue is mass immigration. The Conservatives and the Liberals are okay with mass immigration. Pierre Poilievre, yes, said that he wants 250,000 foreigners a year, plus international students, plus temporary foreign workers, plus refugees. That would be about 1.5 million foreigners over 3 years. This is mass immigration. And the Liberals, they're the one who created the problem, and they're okay with that. The big difference, we want a moratorium on immigration, and we want to deport also all the illegals that are here today. There's between 25,000 to 500,000 of them. We don't know the real number. We don't know who they are. We don't know what they're doing. We need to deport them. When your permit has expired, you must leave the country. If not, you must be deported. So on that policy, we're very different. On the other one that is very important is climate change, for example. People out west, they don't want Canada to participate in the Paris Accord. Poilievre and Carney are okay with that. They agree to not have a carbon tax, to axe the carbon tax, and Poilievre said, I will axe also the carbon tax for the industry. But both of them, they're okay to spend money, billions of dollars, to finance a new technology called carbon capture. They want to capture CO2 and put it in the ground because for them, for the Conservatives and the Liberals, CO2 is a pollutant. But we know that CO2 is a gas essential for life, and we don't need to spend billions of dollars to capture CO2 like the Liberals and the Conservatives want to do. There's a natural technology that is capturing CO2. It is trees, plants, that's food for plants. We need more CO2. So the big difference with us, we won't impose any taxes. We won't spend billions of dollars to capture CO2. We will withdraw from the Paris Accord. And like that, Western Canada will be able to exploit the natural resources, oil and gas, without all these regulations. So on these two subjects, I think it's very important for the future of this country. And you can add to that the trade war, the commercial war that we are having with the U.S. Both the conservatives and the liberals, Poilievre and Carney, they are imposing tariffs on us, counter tariffs, that is Canadian consumers who are paying that, not the American. These counter tariffs will affect us. And, you know, my old boss, Stephen Harper, wrote a letter in the National Post 3 weeks ago saying that we must impose counter tariffs dollar for dollar. And he said it will hurt Canadians and it may create a recession, but it's okay. We love you so much, Canadians, that we'll impose you more taxes with this counter tariff, and you will lose your job because we'll be in a recession. That is crazy. We must not do that. We must not impose any counter tariff. We must try to have a deal as soon as possible with President Trump and put everything on the table. And maybe that's why Poilievre is not winning the election right now, because Canadians are looking at Poilievre and Carney. You know, Poilievre is the fake liberals and Carney is the real one. They want to have a real liberals, not a fake one. Poilievre is only conservative in name only, and is taking your vote. I'm speaking to you, Canadians from Western Canada, from Alberta and Manitoba. He is taking your vote for granted. He won't speak about the equalization formula.
Now, let's talk about, you said that might be a reason why Poilievre is losing right now. When you look at the polls, it looks like the Liberals are leading. When you look at the rallies, for example, it looks like maybe not. Maybe the Poilievre...
It's easy for Poilievre to have 5,000 people in Alberta. You know, being a big rally in Alberta, you know, Albertan, if they vote for the People's Party, it will be win-win because we're going to push Poilievre in the right direction. We're going to keep him honest, and we're going to be sure that Poilievre will act as a real conservative.
Well, even in British Columbia, it was well over 5,000 in British Columbia. But where I'm getting at this is, what do you say to the Conservatives, the chunk of Conservatives that respect your leadership, they respect the PPC, especially for what you guys did during COVID tyranny, but they say this election is different. This is so important that if you really care about Canada, you would bow out, or else we could lose Canada. This is a concern I'm seeing. Yeah. So what do you say to those people?
This country is going into a wall with the Liberals and with the Conservative, because with Poilievre will be a good manager of a big, fat government that will interfere in provincial jurisdictions. Poilievre won't do any changes. Like, you know, all these programs, dental care, daycare, that's provincial jurisdictions. Poilievre will keep that, like the Liberals. I will stop that. That is under provincial jurisdictions. Alberta, they want their police force. They want to control their healthcare system. They want to end that money that they are giving in the equalization formula. Poilievre won't do anything. So the most important is our deficit and our debt. Poilievre is telling us that he will lower our taxes, but you know, where will he take the money? We don't know. It will be borrowed money. With Poilievre, it's more deficit and more debt. Poilievre doesn't have the courage to cut the budget in 1 year and balancing the budget in one year. So with Poilievre, it's a liberal light. So I understand that this country is going down the drain, and you know, if we don't do anything, we will lose this country. But to save this country, we need the policies that we are proposing must be adopted. If not, and I'm speaking to people in Alberta, if you want to separate, be serious about that. Have a vote for a political party at the provincial level that will promote separation. Why? Because if you vote for the yes, I will be the first Federalist leader to go in Alberta and tell you, vote yes. Why? Because Ottawa is not taking you seriously. Ottawa is not doing the reform that you want. The Conservatives are not listening to you. If you vote yes, that will be the beginning of real changes, because Ottawa will have to implement our policies to keep you in the Confederation. And we have the same in Quebec with the PQ. Because of mass immigration, the PQ is winning right now, and the young leader of the PQ, that is very charismatic, said he wants to have an election, and if he's winning, we will have a referendum on the separation. So all that is happening. This country may not exist in 10 years, not because of the People's Party, because of the Liberals and the Conservatives that are not listening to Canadians. They are not doing the bold reform. We are. So if you're serious to save this party, vote for the People's Party.
Now, there's some people who will watch what you said and they'll agree with, if not everything, most of what you said, but they'll still believe that a vote for the PPC, considering they don't have a seat and haven't won one in the last few elections, is a split vote. So what do you say to that?
You know, nobody owns your vote. Your vote is your vote. And, you know, I want you to vote in line with your values. If you're saying, oh, maybe Bernier won't be in government, so I won't vote for him, look just in UK. Nigel Farage, at the last election, he had 10% of the vote, and he was only able to elect 6 candidates. And now he's in Parliament, and a year and a half later, if there's a general election in UK, Nigel Farage will be the Prime Minister. Is winning in the polls. So vote in line with your values. We'll have the first candidate elected in Parliament, and we'll start that common sense revolution, that real revolution. So if you don't vote for what you believe, there's not a lot of chances for you to have what you want. So that's what I'm telling you. And if you vote for the People's Party in Alberta, do you really think that the Liberal will win in Alberta? They won't have any seat in Alberta. If you vote for the People's Party, we'll have a seat in Parliament, and we will push Poilievre to be sure that he's going to speak about the equalization, withdraw from the Paris Accord, no more trade wars, abolishing the supply management, balancing the budget in 1 year. We will push him to do all that. It's a win-win. We are your insurance policy that Poilievre will be a real conservative.
My next question is a little bit of a procedural question. There's a lot of freedom-oriented people that maybe respect what you have to say, but they don't think people should vote because they think the whole thing's rigged federally and that it's already predetermined who's going to win. What would you say to that?
That's a great question, because you're right, about 40% of the population didn't vote at the last election. So what I want to do, I want to have the support of former conservative, but the most important for us is to have the support of these people who didn't vote. If 40% of them, only half of them are supporting us, we'll be at 20%. And if these people are not voting, it's because they're looking at the conservative and the liberals, and they're saying, that's the same. It's a LibCon party. They're all corrupt, and I don't want to play that game. But we are different. We are doing politics differently. Why? Because what I'm saying today to you, I said that 6 years ago. We are doing politics with conviction and ideas, and we are very different. If you vote for us, we will do what we are saying that we will do. And because that's the only platform. We don't do any polling and focus group to know what you want us to say. No, we think that the population has been manipulated, like during COVID, by the leftist media. So that's why we don't do any polling. We're doing politics by conviction. So all these people who don't believe in the system, they have a real option now, the People's Party of Canada.
Now, you spoke about the tariffs. Just like the last election, it was the COVID emergency with the snap election. Now it's a tariff emergency. If you were to be the leader, what would a call to President Trump look like from you regarding the tariffs?
I'll say, President Trump, you did a campaign to make America great again. You want to repatriate the manufacturing sector. I agree with you, President Trump. I want to do the same in Canada. I want to make Canada great again, and I want to have our manufacturing sector here to be strong. But the way to do that, you said also that you want to, if somebody is imposing tariff on you, you will do the same. Reciprocal tariff. I agree with that. Why not having a free trade with 0% tariff? I won't impose any tariff on everything that is coming from the US. You will do the same. You're not imposing any tariff from everything coming to the U.S. And we can do that. We can have a deal. And I know that you're very preoccupied by the situation in Canada about mass immigration and all these foreigners that are coming here and crossing your country. I will stop mass immigration. No more immigrants. I will reinvest to protect our borders. It's important for you and for us. Like you, I want our country to be secure. I want Canadians to be able at night to walk downtown Toronto without being scared to be attacked by somebody. We need to protect our people. You'll do that on your side, I'll do that on my side. You want us to reinvest in our defense? You're right about that. We need to reinvest 2% of our GDP in our defense, I'll do that. If you said all that and you want to have a new deal right now, you don't want to wait in 2026 when it will be time to reopen that deal with America, Mexico, and us. Let's do it right now, put everything on the table. You want your dairy producers to export their milk here in Canada? I agree with that. I will abolish the supply management. That's a good deal, President Trump. Let's sit together and have that deal, and I can tell you we'll have a deal with him.
Well, there you go. Maxime Bernier, leader of the People's Party of Canada, and Drea Humphrey for Rebel News. To make sure you're up to speed on what the mainstream media won't show you regarding Canada's 2025 election, go to our special website called campaign2025.ca.